Hey guys, welcome to the weekly question video. If you want to leave us a question, details on how to do that is down below, as well as ways to support the channel. If you like our content and want to get more of it, we have tons of exclusive content over on Patreon. Definitely check it out. This week's question is something that we don't typically talk about on the podcast a lot, and that is, how does domestic discipline influence how you parent? I'm only going to speak for Coda and I in this because every family dynamic is going to be different. But implementing domestic discipline into our relationship has definitely affected how we approach parenting. Before domestic discipline, we took a very teamwork approach to parenting. We definitely parented in a way that was like very collaborative, very working together on every decision. And that is not a bad way to parent. I don't think that we were doing anything wrong in that. But since we started implementing domestic discipline and I started to see Coda's authority over me and his authority over our home, I realized that his authority really does reach into every area of our lives, and that includes parenting. So now, instead of coming together and having this collaborative conversation over every single decision, it's more of him making the decisions and then delegating the task of implementing those decisions to me. And the only reason he really does that is because I do stay home with our child. And so the day-to-day implementation of the decisions is going to fall more on me because I am here more. But he does step in and implement the decisions when he is in the home. And he lets our child know that he is the one making these decisions. So he's not passing the responsibility onto me to kind of take the pushback for some of these things, because if you have kids, you know they're not always going to like the decisions you make. And so he really does try to let our child know, like, he is the one in charge here. He is the one making the decisions. And so that they know that it's not something that they can blame me for entirely. Also, I have gotten way more comfortable with taking a step back, letting Coda take the lead on those decisions, on how to handle situations. It's not something that I feel like I have to insert myself into every step of the process. Now, that's not to say that we don't collaborate. We absolutely do, but I understand that I am bringing my perspectives and my opinions to Coda for consideration, not for negotiation. And so what I mean by that is I will come to him and I will say, you know, this is what I think about this, or this is how I'm thinking about going about handling this. Is that something that you want me to do? And then the decision is his. And I am willing to submit to that decision. I'm willing to follow through on that decision. And I don't give him pushback unless it's something that I really foresee having a lot of issue with. Like if he says something or makes a decision and I foresee that that's probably not going to end well, or that's going to yield a certain result, I will let him know that. I will be like, here's what I potentially see happening with that decision. And that is just me giving him more information, right? If he at that point says, I hear your concerns, but that's still what we're going to go with, I drop it at that point. Because to go any further, to offer any more information or opinion or pushback, that would be disrespectful at that point. And it is my goal to demonstrate what respect in our home looks like so that our child can see what it looks like to be respectful as a wife. She doesn't know anything about the discipline aspect of our relationship, and that's on purpose. Like, we don't want her to have that information. That's not something that we want to share with her at this point. And so she doesn't know about the discipline side, but she knows that her dad is in charge. She knows and can see that I respect him, and that I submit to his decisions. Those are lifestyle choices that we do want to emulate through our example, so she can see that that is how a functional relationship can look. There are times that Coda has had to step in, and our child is not happy with me. They will, have some opinions on maybe some of the things I've told them to do, or some of the decisions that I've made, or even if I have maybe done something a little inappropriate, like get angry with them. Coda's had to step in and say, our child's complaining, mom did this and mom did that, and he's had to step in and say, I will deal with your mother. Right now I'm dealing with you. And that comes from his authority in the home. That is not something he would have said before we implemented domestic discipline. That's not something he would have been able to address in that way. So that's definitely changed, because he is taking ownership of the leadership of the entire home. We are not co-captains of this ship. We are not collaborators. We are not partners in this dynamic. He is the leader. He is the authority. He is the one who is at the head. I am the second in command as far as the children are concerned, right? And so I have authority over our child. I have authority in our home as far as our child is concerned. I do not hold authority over Coda, though. There is a distinct hierarchy, and that has affected how we approach parenting. That's affected our family dynamic. To have an order of authority where Coda really does have the ability to step in and make decisions and expect those decisions to be followed. And so there is that order where Coda's at the head, I am underneath him, and then our child is underneath that. That's the way we've ordered our home on purpose, because I am not equal to our child in the hierarchy. She still has to listen to me. I am still her mother. I think that there is a misconception from the outside, people looking at domestic discipline, thinking that having domestic discipline, having the authority of the head of household over the taken in hand, that degrades them to the level of a child. That is not the case at all. There's more than two levels here. There's more than just authority and accountability. There are different levels of authority, and there's different levels of accountability. And so, yes, Coda is at the top. He is the one that holds authority. But I also hold authority in regards to our child. I do not hold authority over him because he is over me. And our child and myself, we can't be equals, because Coda goes to work. He is not in the home 100% of the time. So when he's not there, I am the authority in the home that is present. And our child needs to know that I hold that authority and that they have to listen to it. You want to create an order where there's expectation. And the expectation is that when dad's home, he calls the shots. When dad's not home, he calls the shots through the representation of mom. And that is how we have done it. And that is how our parenting and how our home is run has been affected by the principles of domestic discipline. Because again, without having this order of authority of domestic discipline, I don't know if we would have ever implemented that order of authority into how we approach parenting and how we approach home management. Before domestic discipline, we very much took this approach of, because I was a stay-at-home mom, because I was a stay-at-home wife, I was taking on the role of home management to the extent where Coda was very hands-off. And I still take a lot of pride in managing my home, but under the direction of my head of household, to where I know that I'm not calling the shots. I know I'm not making any final decisions. I know that my head of household is overseeing everything I'm doing, but I'm still managing the day-to-day function of my home because that is within my role, especially since I am home throughout the day. It is within my role to manage the home, but under oversight of my head of household. And really, in parenting, we tried to take this very partnership and collaborative approach. But if Coda was at work, if Coda was at school, then there were a lot of times where I was making decisions and I was making final decisions on my own without his input, without his approval, without his collaboration whatsoever, because he wasn't physically there and a decision needed to be made. Where now I know that we talk about things, and if I have to make a decision, I can do so understanding the leadership aspect and I can that we have in our home. And because he has made decisions, because he has stepped in with authority, because he has established certain systems, it's less of a guessing game and more of a, based on the pattern of decisions, I can assume that this is what Coda would want me to do. And, hopefully I'm guessing correctly. Not always, but most of the time I do, because it is very pattern based and it is something that we have talked extensively about the priorities. We've talked extensively about what needs to happen when. And so because I know his priorities, because I know the decisions that he's made in the past, if I need to step in, if I need to make an appointment or make a decision, I can do so with a little more certainty than before when I was completely acting in my own autonomy. And so that's just kind of how domestic discipline has affected how we order our home. And it's not a bad thing. None of the things that we've done have been negatives in our home. If anything, it has brought more balance. It has brought more harmony. It has brought more peace to our home because things are structured in a way that make sense. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that topic. Let me know down below what you thought about it, and we will talk to you next time.